Hi, I am Michael, and welcome to Global Prosperity Academy, our Hour of Power. This is our ultimate leadership community, and I am so grateful for waking up this morning and having the choices to make a difference, not only in my life, but in the difference of others, and having this amazing community, which is my family, to share with. And I'm really, really grateful for a very special guest speaker.
Great morning, Mr. Michael. This is Alexi Musienko from Los Angeles, California. And what I'm truly grateful for this week, really been reflecting on it, and that's the ability to get to live my dream life, not having to build a dream life. And that's really a true pleasure and an honor to be able to have amazing conversations with amazing individuals that are making this world a better place. And I'm truly grateful for that.
Grand Rising, Alexis. My name is Alfie Westwood, and I'm here and it's not as warm here as it is in Arkansas. But excuse me, I don't know why my throat gets funny when I'm talking up here. But I'm very grateful to be here, and I'm grateful to see some very new faces. So I can already see that we're gonna have a fun time with our speaker today. He's already proven to be very knowledgeable. And I'm grateful that I get to teach my 4-year-old grandson how to read, and he's excited about it. Thank you.
Good morning, Alfie. I'm Selena Billings, in Torrance, California, in my old neighborhood, visiting today, and I'm grateful to be part of this amazing community and to hear from Chris Kirkpatrick, who I met briefly on the ship as we were leaving. As Steve and I were leaving the ship, we all traveled out together. So good to see you again, Chris.
Hey, good to see you.
Hello, Selena, and I'm glad to see you today, my sister from another mother, like you guys always say. And I am just grateful for the sunshine today. Hopefully I'll get a chance to get out there and get warmed up. And I am just grateful to learn and grow. And one thing that I've learned from this community is that we have the ability to create the dream that we want to live. And so I'm looking forward today, Chris, to learning how to create more of that dream.
Love it.
Good morning, everyone. I am Chinyere Jack. I'm just happy to wake up today. There is beautiful sunshine right here in Northern California, Great Valley. So I'm excited and I'm ready to learn.
Hello, Grand Rising. This is Julie Morel from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Sorry, Alma. I'm just saying hello. I'm sorry I'm incognito. I've got my hands full, but I also am so blessed to be part of this community. I'm honored to be here. I'm excited to hear what our speaker has to say.
Hello. I really need to talk to you, but
Go ahead, Miss Alma.
Continue.
Dennis speaking? Yes, I'm good, Alma. I was just saying hi. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. I am calling from Ventura this morning. It's been wonderful. GPA family has been amazing. Grateful to be here today.
Hey, my dear, just to let you know, your audio is breaking up really bad. Not sure why, if you want to check that.
Can you hear? Is that better?
Way better.
Much better. Do it again.
So I'll just say thank you for everyone. I'm so grateful for being here. And it's been an amazing journey, and GPA has been a great family, and I'm so grateful for everyone. Thank you so much.
Okay, well, I want to thank all of you for speaking up. Some of you are a little shy, but everyone has something to be grateful for because when you woke up this morning, you got a gift, a very special gift that only God can give you another day of life. And I always say, what you do with that day is your gift back to God. I am so excited. I'm always excited on Saturday. We have special guest speakers, but today it's extra special. I've already had the opportunity to spend a few moments with Chris, and I tell you something, in those few moments, I took notes and I said, wow, this guy is different. Just like our community, he's different. But I want to thank publicly my brother from another mother, and that's Mr. Alexei Musienko, for being always there to have my back and for to make amazing relationships with his purpose, one relationship away. So I want to introduce my brother and then let him introduce Chris, who's literally has the power, the knowledge, the skills, and experience to change the trajectory of not only your life, but your children and your children's children's for generations to come. As Dora's husband, Jay always says, and he said this and I love it, legacy is not what you leave behind, it's who you take with you. Mr. Alexi.
Thank you so much, Mr. Michael, and it's such a true pleasure and honor to introduce some of the most amazing relationships out of my life that made a huge difference in mine into this amazing community and family. And today is no different. This man I've had a chance to know for a very short period of time, but it's not the length of time that matters, it's the depth of the connection. We started our 5-minute conversation, and it literally led to 4.5 hour discussion. And we were not even scratching the surface. This man has the most amazing brain when it comes to business. But what impresses me even more about him, he's an amazing family man and a true servant thought leader that not only talks the talk, but walks the walk. When it's not convenient, and I've seen him in action, he had a very interesting choice during our time when we met each other, where he could have chose what was easy for him, but he made the choice to honor his commitments, and for that, I'm truly grateful for. And remember, you're just one relationship away from the life of your dreams or the impact that you would like to create in the world. And today, this is your introduction to Chris. Chris, the floor is yours.
Oh man, well, thank you so much. So I got to tell you guys, like, so if I seem a little distracted, it's because I've been at this event, which has been an amazing event for the past like 7 days, and the last couple days, my family got to join me, and we just got home like 3 hours ago. And I literally, all three girls in my household, this little girl being one of them, yeah, they're all on the other side of the camera, just like making faces at me and dancing and like having fun because, that's just what we do up in here. And, so it is what it is. So I'll say hi to the fam real quick. I figure if I don't put them on camera for a couple seconds, I won't get them to stop. Like I just got to give them a moment in the spotlight. And then the dog just ran into the camera. That's why it shook. So anyway, this is the chaos we live in. And so we're having fun. So thank you, baby. Okay, now it's over. Good. Blow a kiss. All right. Cool. All right. Love you. Okay. So there we go. That's the energy we try to have up here. So when Alexi reached out, I got to give credit to my wife because Alexi's had a chat string going with us in WhatsApp, and my wife has been way better at being responsive to it than I have because I've just been so busy. And Hannah, my wife, actually is the one who reached out to me and was like, "Hey, you got to pay attention. Alexi just sent something, and I know we're going to be at this event, but I think we're going to get home, and like, I know it's family time, but like it's Alexi, so hop on and do it for him if you don't mind." And so it was really her blessing that got me here. And so that said, like I'll say this, he wanted me to share my story. I'm going to share some education and just the things that matter to me. But like I'll tell you guys, I'm not. I mean, I'm very technical in some ways, and I think it's the old John Maxwell statement where people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Once they find out how much you care, you better know something. I think that last part is left out a lot. And so, yes, we have to know the things that we're talking about. We have to be experts in our field. We have to have the technical knowledge. We have to have all that stuff. But to me, that's just the price of entry, right? Like that's the price to play the game. We gotta be good stewards of our responsibility of what we're doing by mastering our craft. And that whether it comes to the financial coaching side of things that I do, the online marketing stuff that we've done, like you gotta become the master of your craft. And if you just lead with that and the logic and the technical side of things, well, then you're going to miss what this life is all about. You're going to miss all the opportunities for connection and relationships and brotherhood and sisterhood and family. And like, because to me, that's what this is about. And one of the things that I teach people all the time is the reason people struggle with money is because their money is not in alignment with their values and beliefs. How they utilize money as a tool in their life is not in alignment with what they say that matters to them. And you would be shocked. I literally talk to and go through dozens of these things every single week of like surveys and questionnaires where people say one thing and then when they give the response to what they do with their money, it's in complete opposition to what they say.
Oh no, I'm hoping we're not having internet connection issues. But until Chris returns, I was being captivated by every word that he was saying. So
I'm with you 100%. I think that is what happened. But again, it happened right before the call, and we'll just say our prayers that he comes back. I believe he will. This is so powerful for those of you that are here. Be a little patient. He is in another country where they have power surges and outings, and we can go way longer than an hour. This guy has unlimited time in GPA. So
What a great point he made, though, Michael, just beginning. You know,
yes,
so many times we have our financial of what we say, how much we want to make and what our goals are and where we want to be. But do they really align with what we say we want to do? I think just his first point on that is really key because sometimes we have to ask ourselves that, what are my, because some of the things, you hear from folks all the time. Oh, I'm here to help others. This is what I want to do. But then when you say, what is your vision or your dream or your perfect day? You hear them say things like, oh, I want to travel and I want to go on vacation. And those things all come up first instead
Mhm.
of oh, I thought you wanted to help people. And then those are things that come up last. So I think that point was really a great one.
I agree, bro. I'm glad you picked that up and shared with us. Also, when you talked about John Maxwell, that he got my attention. And I've always heard that people don't care what you got or what until they feel that you care. But when they feel that you care, you have to be able to share something of value to them. Miss Julie.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you. I wanted to say too that it makes such sense with the curriculum that we've already been through in Money's Not the Problem, You Are, and The Gap in the Gain. And it still all resides around the mindfulness. And where are you putting your thoughts? And are you actually aware of what thoughts you may be holding from the past and what needs to be released and unblocked so that you know, our new mindset can align with the universe to bring us what we really need and want to do and accomplish in our lives. So I hope he does come back on because I'm just really, I'm just one of the patrons that has seen that mindfulness in action. And
Michael, while we
Yes.
wait, Dolan's here, and I'm so excited to see you today. He may not know we have been meeting Dolan,
Oh.
and I don't know if your other half is here with you.
No.
But we have been meeting like the last 2 weeks, breaking down and diving deeper into the power of servant leadership.
Thank you. Thank you, Dora, for that. It's and I'm blessed. I got Alexia pinged me this morning early and said, I don't know if you can do this or not, but come hang out. Um, so it's and I'm grateful for the opportunity to come hang out with you guys. But thank you for that, Dora. We'll come back and do more. Like sometime in the future, we'll come back and we'll spend some more time with you. Blaine is traveling today. He and his wife are on their way to San Diego, and then they're taking a couple of days off to go play. So
Good.
yeah,
Well, I
Thank
just
you.
wanted to let you know that we appreciate you and we are
uh,
diving deeper. Hey, Chris is back.
thank you.
Nice.
It's good to see everybody. Good to see
Back.
you,
Hey,
Michael.
Thank you.
welcome to the unstable power grid of the Dominican Republic. This is what happens. So we have a generator on the property, but it does just so you guys know, it doesn't happen that often, but it's happened twice since we've started this call. And so when it happens, if I go away, it'll be for about that amount of time as my generator kicks in and we are able to reset the router. We're in the process of getting a battery backup for the internet alone, but even that doesn't really solve streaming live like this. So bear with me. Hopefully this is the last time it happens, but adapt and overcome, right? So where was I? So ultimately I'll say this. I guess I'll just kind of start from here. When I connected with Alexi, it was really from a place of heart centeredness, right? And I think it's rare to find somebody, rare to find people that genuinely lead with their heart. And I think I do a lot of events. I do a lot of speaking. I find myself around a lot of different groups, and I've gotten pretty good with the BS meter of being able to sort through the people that just say the right things. Because let's face it, we all know the people, right? The people that say the right things, and they've like read all the right books, and and they kind of know the phrases, they can kind of do the things, but then there's not like a lot of depth or substance. And with Alexi, I'll say like it was just he was saying things a little differently, but there was so much more depth and there was so much more authenticity behind it. And so that's what drew me to him. That's what drew me to this, and that's why I said yes to this. Because I mean, we haven't talked a lot since the Marketers Cruise. He's talked to my wife more than me, as I was saying before. But like when he was like, "Hey, I could use your help. This would be awesome." I was like, "Dude, anything I could do to help in a pinch." It's kind of how I am with family too sometimes, right? Anybody like sometimes I'm not the most available because I'm so busy, but like if they ever need me, I will be there, right? And that's just everything else gets dropped. And you just do what you got to do to help family. And Alexi, you're like family at this point in time, and so it's awesome. And so here's what I'll say is I guess he said to share my story to start. Like, so a lot of people look at my story, and we have a retreat center in the Dominican Republic that we own now, and we run health and wellness retreats. I own one of the top. Anybody here know infinite banking? Does ever like or like okay? So I run one of the top. I would call infinite banking, even though I call it cash flow hacking at this point in time, which I'm going to teach you guys and share with why I don't use infinite banking and I use cash flow hacking. But I run one of the top infinite banking insurance agencies in the country. I have 1,100 agents that work for me across the country, work with our organization across the country. We're growing. My goal is to hit 20,000 agents in the next 5 years. And it's because I believe so much in what we do, and I know the ability that it has to make a mark on this country. And I think if we do that, we're going to be able to make a massive impact, and the ripple effect is just going to be phenomenal. And so that said, I think a lot of people, it's easy to look at that and look at my story and be like, oh, Chris Kirkpatrick, money strategist, financial freedom architect, all these, cool taglines that I've built and I've kind of earned over the years. It's easy to look at that and be like, oh man, Chris has done this. I can't do it. Chris has done this. Like, he's so articulate and he's so comfortable speaking and he's so this and he's so that. Some might even say I'm good looking, that kind of stuff, but it's like, I'll say this. When I first started this a decade ago, over a decade ago now, when I first started this, I was horrible on camera. I was uncomfortable in my own skin. I couldn't communicate. I was good one-to-one, right? But then when I got in front of a camera, I would like just clam up. I remember the first video that I did, I had to make a video for my company Life 180. It was like my like trailer for the commercial on the YouTube channel. And it was a 2 minute and 40-second video. And it took me 9 hours to film it. And 9 hours with like my wife standing on the side being like, what's wrong with you? Like you say this stuff all the time. Why is it when the camera turns on, you can't get it right? And I'm like, that's a good question. I don't know. I suck at this. I don't know what to tell you. Like, why am I even trying to do this? And like, it was kind of one of those situations. And, but there's an old saying, if it's worth doing poorly until you're good at it. Right. And, what I knew to be true is that our mission was worth it. The strategies that we had were worth it, and they worked. And so the gap for where I wanted to be versus where I was, the difference in that gap, right? Like I had this thing I wanted to create. I had this life I wanted to create. I had this business I wanted to create. I had this impact I wanted to make. And then I looked at it and I go, wow, that is way down this path. And I'm like, way here. I'm like right here. That is a huge gap to fill. And we can look at that and it could be overwhelming, but what we need to do is we need to surround ourselves and follow people that help us fill the gap, because the difference between where we want to go and where we are now has nothing to do with our assets, nothing to do with our money, nothing to do with anything. It's all except for who are we, because what got us to where we are right now is not going to get us to where we want to go. We're going to be constantly in evolution. Life is about the journey. I think, right, there's all these catchphrases we all hear 1,000 times in our life, right, if not more. And it's kind of bad, right, that we hear these things all the time, because they kind of become cliche and we kind of numb out to them. Is that fair? Right? We kind of numb out to these things because we hear them all the time, and it's like, that's great for somebody else, but not for me, right? Like it's great that somebody else can like hit that level or do those things and whatever. But for me, like I don't know, maybe not. But what I'll say is, what I guess identified for myself is, I know what I want my life to be about. And I just believe that God wants more for us than we could ever imagine. Right. And we have this phrase in our household that it's like this or something better. My wife created, and it's amazing. And, and so if you truly believe that God wants more for your life than you could ever imagine, then what do you ever have to be worried about? Because everything that's ever happening to you is this or something better. And I don't look at all the negative things. And believe me, I'm going to share a couple things that have been really hard that would probably put most people to their knees, like, and hard to get up. And yet in those moments, when you're able to come from a place of faith and belief, and you're able to come from a place of this or something better, and realizing that it's not happening to me, it's happening for me, and that we have these abilities to look at challenges as redirections from God, right? And when we can look at it like that, it allows us to show up more powerfully. It allows us to show up with a conviction and a belief and a responsibility. Because, I mean, everybody here has a unique gift and a unique ability, right? Everybody here has their own unique investor DNA. Everybody here has their own unique DNA as far as like their impact DNA, what you can do uniquely on in this earth and in your lifetime to be able to create a ripple effect that can make positive impact for generations to come. I believe that, I've been blessed to discover what I believe mine are, and at the same time, I'm always open to more. And what I've realized with my life is the deeper I go, the more I uncover, the more I learn, the more I realize I don't know anything. And the more I realize that I'm just a student, and my only job is to keep learning and keep growing and keep evolving, keep expanding, keep surrounding myself with people that see me as the highest version of myself, that see me as better than I see myself. Because it's fair. Like, talk to my wife. Like, I do not see myself as anything special. And I'm getting better at that, if I'm going to be honest. Like, I'm getting better. That's been a challenge for me. That's been one of my big holdups in my life, And it's the importance though of surrounding yourself with people that see you as better, like borrow their confidence before you have your own kind of deal, right? And so it just is what it is, because it's fair to say the world is full of the crabs in the bucket, right? So everybody know the crabs in the bucket, where crabs try to get out of the bucket. Crabs are trying to get out of the bucket, and then they don't need to put the crab fisherman doesn't need to put a cover on a lid on the bucket, because the other crabs are just pulling back in. As soon as they almost get out of the bucket, the crabs are just pulling back in, so they're stuck. And so it is what it is. We're in a situation where we just got to be focused on taking the next steps and trying to focus on growth, trying to focus on expansion, and trying to focus on impact. And if we align our time and our money and our more valuable resources, which is time and money, with our values and beliefs, then that's going to help us get to where we want to go. Now, for me, I've had I built a career basically at this point in time on helping people with their money. I have a thing, I call it the 5 F's of life: faith, family, finance, fitness, and freedom. I don't care what order you put them in, doesn't really matter. Faith, family, finance, fitness, and freedom. And I would say that everybody wants to get to freedom. Is that fair? I mean, that's kind of like what retirement is. Everybody wants to be free. And I think it's fair to say that when we're free, we have the ability to make more impact in the world, right? Because we don't have to go to the job. We have more free time. If we have that actual real freedom in the way that most people think, we have the ability to show up in the world in a more powerful way. We have resources, and I think when people think of freedom, they think, all right, I have the money and I have the time. Is that fair? So, and that's for most people. But I think freedom is more than that. And this is kind of something I've worked through over the years. And I just believe that freedom, sure, it's you can be financially free in a way. You can have the income, so to speak, the finances box checked, and maybe that doesn't buy freedom. You could be rich, right? If you just have that one F box like checked, you might have you might have $10 million in the bank. Who here knows somebody who has a crazy awesome net worth, makes a lot of money, but they have no free time, and they're a slave to their job, and they can't take vacation, and they're stressed out and all these things, right? For me, I know a lot of people like that, and that was one of the things that was why I changed directions about 12 years ago and started going to work for myself and started my own company and doing all my own thing, because I knew that I would never be able to have freedom on my terms in the time frame that I wanted it by playing that game. I was actually at this event. There was a guy there. His name is Stephen Harms. He's like a game theory expert, and he said, "Do you know what the key is to people who win always?" And I was like, okay, this is going to be interesting. And he said, well, the people who win the game are the people that understand the rules of the game, right? And he used Monopoly as an example. He's like, if I could teach you how to win Monopoly every single time, would you want to know? I was like, teach me how to win Monopoly every single time. Yeah, I mean, I'm interested. He goes, and the guy literally ripped off. You could tell he's done this a bunch of times. He literally started ripping off the rules, like just listing off the rules to the game of Monopoly, and then he started listing off the properties on the board, section by like step by step by step, and he went around the board. He knew every property in order, by heart, by memory, and then he also knew every chance card, every risk card, everything. And he goes, do you know, if you understood the game theory and you understood the odds, do you know what the most profitable product or properties to buy would be? And I was like, I have no idea. The most expensive ones that have the highest rent and the houses and stuff. He goes, no, you have to look at the risk cards and the chance cards and the odds of likelihood of landing on each property. And he knows, just so you guys playing Monopoly at home, pick up Illinois Avenue. It's the #1 property in the game, just so you know. So get it. It's going to be awesome. You're going to kick butt. And it's because there's a risk card and a chance card. Because every property, obviously, the odds of landing on them are what they are. But then on top of that, when you go to jail, and when you go to the other chance card, you have the chance to land on Illinois. Plus, there's 2 chance and risk card that'll send you directly to Illinois. And so the odds are, just mathematically speaking, Illinois is the #1 property in the game. So little hack, kind of fun. I love this stuff. I used to be a professional poker player. I was top 100 in the world when I was in my 20s, and so I love game theory, and this whole idea of game theory optimization and so on and so forth. And that's why I love the money game. You know what I mean? And so, but this is where it got cool. This is where it got super cool. Is he goes, and I go, Steven, that's great, but it doesn't mean you're going to win every time just because if that were the case, there's still statistical variance, right? About the way this stuff works is the way my game theory brain works. And he goes, yeah, but so I'm like, how do you win every time? He goes, well, you just got to play by a different set of rules because by definition, Monopoly is a win-lose zero-sum game, right? The rules say you have to play until somebody's eliminated, and then you know we've all played before, right? You eliminate people, you try to bankrupt them and get their properties and mortgage them and like leverage and get all this stuff, and you know until they're out of the game and the winner takes all. And he was saying, why don't we all just like create a set of rules at the beginning and try to figure out how we can all win together? And it's not about elimination, but collaboration. And why? And what if you approach the game of Monopoly through the lens of not trying to eliminate people, but to see how we can all work together to build our wealth inside of the game, but also support each other to build wealth at the same time? And I mean, think about the paradigm shift with that. But that's the world we live in right now. We have the ability to do this with all the technology, with all the social media, with all the social networks, with AI, with everything that we have at our disposal at this point in time. There has never been a time in the history of humanity where we've been able to create win-win-win scenarios like we can right now. Think about that, right? And when I think about that, I think about what is the key to us doing that. The key is our relationships. The key is our mind. It's our education. It's how we invest in ourselves. It's the people we surround ourselves with, the communities that we're in, the events that we go to, all these things, right? Because that is what dictates how we spend our most valuable resources, which is time and money. And because that is what it is. Now going back to the F's, sorry about that tangent. I thought it would be fun. But when we go back to the F's, the 5 F's, all right, I focus on the finances part of it. And the reason is because I believe people struggle with money because their money is not in alignment with their values and beliefs. And I think while all people kind of look at money very linearly and they say, I want to have enough money where I can have freedom. Well, I say this, is that I believe that the finance F is the biggest F. It's the most important F to get right, to get your relationship right with your money because it impacts every other F. I think it's all fair to say we need a certain amount of resources and finances to be free, right? We live in a world where you need resources. I'm doing all the events and doing all the things. You got to buy plane tickets. You got to have time. You got to have income to pay rent and food and all the things, right? There's no doubt about that. We have to have that. However, it's making sure that you're really clear on what that ideal life looks like to you. My wife and I, we had our house, $1 million home, Arizona, golf course, amazing, cul-de-sac, all the toys, SUVs, all the things, right? We had all that. And then I realized this isn't what I want. This is what the world thinks I should have based on success, but it's not what I authentically want as my life. That's not what freedom looks like to me. And so then we decided to move our family to the Dominican Republic and buy an eco hotel and retreat center. We sold 90% of everything we had. We still kept our house and rented it out, but literally it was a very interesting cathartic process of purging, getting rid of the consumerism mindset and disconnecting. And I'm not going to say it was all easy and that it still is all easy because we're 15 months into this journey of doing this, but it has been a really great learning experience. And we met some amazing people. And I can tell you it's still not perfect, but it's much more authentically who I am and what fulfills me. And so But this is about the journey, right? I'm still learning, and we go, and we're using money as a tool to create that. And so you don't have to just wait until you're 65 to have this freedom. You don't have to wait till you're 65 to move to a Caribbean island and do it. You just have to realize you are your own best asset, that the best investment you're going to make is in yourself, that money is a tool to create a life that matters to you. So what I say is figure out your core values, figure out your mission statement, figure out a vision statement, and I'm going to cover those things in a couple minutes. And then that will allow you to do is figure out, what do you want your life to be about? When you're on your deathbed and you're thinking about, and you're drawing your last breath, and you're surrounded by family and you're looking at them, I promise you're not going to care about how many zeros are in your bank account. You're going to care about, and I got this from Brenda Burchard. I was thinking about this the other day, so it's like top of mind for me right now, is did I live? Did I love? Did I matter? Did I live? Did I love? Did I matter? And so it's an interesting thing to think about. And I've tried to go around this and create my own like 3 words for what I want. And I'm like, I can't get better than what Brendan does, because that is like, that's it. You know, those are 3 things. Is, are you using money? And so let me go back actually. I say people's money is not in alignment with their values and beliefs. Are you utilizing money in a way? Because most people are taught to go to school, get a job, invest in a 401k, wait until you're 65, maybe retire. But I got news for you guys. We live in the most prosperous country in the history of the world, and 95% of people are hitting retirement, and they're not able to maintain their standard of living on a guaranteed basis for the rest of their life. Right? I don't know about you, but that's the real pandemic in my eyes. You know, that's the real problem. If we live in this world where 95% of the people in the most prosperous country in the history of mankind is not able to even maintain their standard of living when they retire, and this is the system that's supposed to be dependent on, that's an issue, right? And so what I say is the solution is alignment. The problem is lack of alignment, right? So what we need to do is get really clear on what we want. And so freedom, okay, we all agree to that. Now, faith. I just don't believe there is freedom without a relationship with a higher power, whatever that is to you. I'm not about pushing my beliefs on other people. However, I do believe you need to believe in something, because if you don't have a good relationship with God on some level, you are never going to feel totally free, right? And how we utilize money, how we have the time frame, you know, the time freedom to dedicate to our scripture, to dedicate to our meditations, to dedicate to our, you know, our time of learning and depth of relationship with our higher power. That's important, right? So making sure that our relationships are right with God and our higher power, that's the first part. The second part is family, friendships, right? I look at this and I say, I can have all the money in the world and all the time freedom in the world, but if I have a strange relationship with my wife and my kids and all these things, I don't know about you guys, I'm not going to feel very free. You know what I'm saying? Not very free at all. I'm going to feel shackled and guilty and burdened. And I don't know about you guys, like health, fitness. Fitness is the other F. I wanted an F, so it's really just health, right? But it's fitness, because health leads to fitness. But we all know that we have to be accountable for our own fitness. We have to eat healthy. We have to work out. We have to take responsibility for this. So what's interesting to me is we all want this freedom thing, right? But we all know that there is no real freedom without good faith, good family, good fitness. And everybody who has ever experienced a real health crisis or had a family member go through a health crisis understands that at the moment you have that health crisis and somebody gives you a 90-day time frame to live based on a cancer, a terminal diagnosis, or something like that, all of a sudden the zeros in your bank account don't matter, right? You would give it all up for that health, right? And to use this analogy, I say is like, let me ask you this: who right now trade places with Warren Buffett, who's 92 years old, on this call? Now, some of you may say, hey, I would trade and make the sacrifice for my family and give my life for $200 billion Okay, that's noble. Okay. But let's just say that, you couldn't just hand it to your family. Who would trade with Warren Buffett right now at 92 years old? I don't think anybody would if you really sit down and think about it, because that means you only have, I don't know, anywhere between 2 and 7 years left of life, right? And so what you've just done, if you've said that, you just acknowledged that time and relationships are more important than money to you. And he's like one of the richest people in the world. But how are you showing up every day? Is it in alignment and congruent with that philosophy? Most people, the answer is no. And so I look at this and I say, okay, we need to be really clear about these 5 F's. And in doing so, it's about aligning our money with our values and beliefs. And so how do we do that? Most people, from what my experience is, can't even articulate what their 5 core values are. Most people don't have a personal mission statement. Most people don't have a personal vision statement. And so, and Alexi, if you want to do this, I can send you, I have a workbook that it's a 14-page workbook that I have all my clients before I work with them on their finances. Because my strategy is I say, hey, I want to help you align your money with your values and beliefs. People come to me sometimes, they're like, Chris, I just want to start getting going. I want to start investing. I trust you. I've watched your YouTube videos. I'm all in. Let's go. And I'm like, no, pump the brakes, slow down. I've told you that my goal is to help you align your money with your values and beliefs. So who would I be if I didn't get to know you a little bit? Like if I don't understand who you are, what you're trying to accomplish, what you want your life to be about, and what matters to you, how can I help you accomplish this goal? So we need to slow down. Sometimes you got to be willing to go slow to go fast, right? Like slow down, do the work, build the foundation, and then you can go faster once you're clear. Once you know what you're working towards. I could drive 1,000,000 miles an hour, well, not that fast, but I could drive 100 miles an hour across the country, right? If I don't have a GPS or a map and don't know where I'm going, I'm going to take all sorts of wrong turns. Somebody who's going 40 miles an hour is probably going to beat me going across the country, who's got a good GPS that, knows the exact route. That's just the reality. So we want to make sure we know what we're going towards, and we need to know the roadmap to be able to get there. And so I have this thing, I call it cash flow hacking. For those of you who have heard of infinite banking, to me, this is just a better mousetrap because it's more encompassing than just a product as a solution to a problem. I don't believe that there are any products that are going to solve your problems in life. And I think that's one of the problems with the financial industry is they try to sell products as solutions. And I've got news for you. The only solution for you is looking back at you in your camera when you look at it, right? In the mirror. You're looking at yourself on the screen. You are the only solution that you have. You're the only one you can fully depend on completely. You're the only one that can take complete radical self-accountability for your life. You can surround yourself with amazing people and amazing communities, and that's going to certainly help you grow. But you got to take the time to be intentional about how you show up in the 5 F's of life, right? Your preacher, your pastor is not going to be able to do your scripture for you. Your best friend, my best friend, is not going to be able to be a good husband and father for me, I hope. That'll get problematic real quick. My trainer is not going to do the push-ups or eat for me or eat healthy or anything like that for me. And those are all things that we need for pure freedom. How is it, let me ask you this, how is it that we all know that? Does anybody disagree with any of that? No, I don't think so. How is it that somehow with the finances F, we've all been taught by mainstream media that we need to get a financial advisor, go to school, get a job, invest in a 401k, give our money to a financial advisor, a financial planner, wait 30 to 45 years, and hope for the best about things that we don't understand because you're too stupid to understand your personal finances. You're not smart enough to understand all the different investments, all the different assets out there, all the different strategies. You're just not smart enough. So go lean on somebody who's smarter than you to do it. And this one thing that has a greater impact in every other area of your life, don't worry about taking radical accountability for the results in your life with that thing. To me, it's almost insanity that people think about it in those terms. That we're taught that. If you ever watch any commercials on TV, if you ever watch any people like Dave Ramsey Susie Orman, all these people that get all this credit in the world for being biblical about their money view and all that stuff. It's just scarcity and like I don't even know the words. But it's infuriating. That's what it is. And it's demeaning. It's demeaning to you, and it's not empowering. And so, what I want to walk you through is a philosophy. And how much time do I have, Alexi?
You got all the time that you need, my friend. Like,
Okay.
this stuff is
All
gold.
right. Okay. So, because I could literally go for 3 hours.
Yeah, and
but
if somebody needs to leave at
Yeah.
some point, we do
All right.
appreciate and honor your time, and we will get you a replay because this is too good just to hit stop on. So
Thanks, brother. Okay, so what I want to do then is I want to spend a little time to like pour into you guys and kind of teach you my framework on shifting some of your mindset with money. And it may not be a shift because I think a lot of you maybe already kind of align with some of the things that I'm saying. But then I think there's a gap sometimes. Our mindset may be right, but maybe you don't have the right framework. Maybe you don't have the right process to be able to follow because it could be really challenging when your framework is out of alignment with what the mainstream world says that you should do, right? Because it's great that I have this framework, but my only options are an IRA and a 401k and a Roth and like all these different things. So what the heck am I to do? Well, I'm going to show you, and I'm going to show you some things to measure. So give me one sec. I'm going to switch to my Vibe board here that I now have to reset up because the power went out. So give me one second. Okay, give me one sec. All right, can everybody see me okay? Can you hear me, Alexi? Everybody good? Okay,
yes,
perfect.
we can see your whiteboard and we can hear you perfectly.
All right, perfect. That's what we needed. All right, so here's what I do. I call it the 5 pillars of cash flow hacking. Okay, so pillar number 1, I've kind of been going on this one a lot, is the personal growth and expansion. I think there are no products that are going to solve your problems. There's no person that's going to solve your problems except for you. Who you are is ultimately going to determine where you go in life. What got you here is not going to get you where you want to go, and the only difference between where you are now and where you want to be is who you become in the process. And I encourage everybody to realize that the journey is the adventure. The journey is what this life is all about. And using money as a tool to create a life that matters is ultimately going to help you even be more fulfilled in the process because of the fact that you're going to grow. You're going to become somebody different. And I think that's one of the things that I love about this strategy and this philosophy and this process the most is that it's not about how big of a rate of return can we get, even though it's going to be awesome. It's more a matter of how do I use money to be fulfilled, not only reach a destination, but be fulfilled along the way and enjoy life along the way and build relationships and all this stuff along the way. So the personal growth and expansion, I think, I've said that, and we can do a Q&A on that, kind of what we can do if you want after, but I think that's, everybody's here. You're with Alexi. You get it. I don't need to spend a whole lot of time on that. Now, the other thing that I talk about is debt management. Debt management, and I throw the word efficiency on there. The reason I put efficiency is because I think financial efficiency is the key to everything. It's the key to our success, everything that we do. And here's the deal. I want to run an example for you, just kind of show you the traditional way of thinking about money versus how I teach people about money. So you take a household, I'll do HH for household. Take a household earning $100,000 a year. Traditional financial planning would say go take 10%, which is $10,000 out of this, put it in your 401k. That means you have $90,000 left of earned income. Okay. So what do we have here? We have $10,000. So now if I go $10,000 and I invest this, what do they say? The goal is to earn 8%. which is $800, right? So now at the end of the year, I have $10,800, and I go and I do this, and I say, does this work? Does it make sense to take 8%, which, by the way, everybody acknowledges this 8% comes with risk, right? And so if I'm doing this $10,800, that's what I have at the end of year one, right? I'm taking this risk to get that $800 return, and I'm risking the entire $10,000. How much of it? Probably not all of it, but a fair amount of it. And the question is, what else am I doing? I'm giving up control of this money. I no longer have this $10,000 to utilize to benefit myself, to grow my life, to expand my network, to invest in myself, to go to events, to do anything else in my life that's going to add value and bring fulfillment. Okay. So that's the first thing. Now, the next thing that we look at here is this $90,000 number. So I'm going to write it again over here. Let me ask you guys a question. Who here you think has, and I'm using this 90,000 just to keep numbers round, right? The 100,000, 10%. I'm just trying to keep numbers round. But who here has, you think, I don't know, 2% in money that you're losing unknowingly, unnecessarily, just inefficiency, blown in areas that you don't even know? 2% of your money that goes through your life is just blown, right? Who here has 5%? Everybody's laughing because everybody's like, of course, everybody does, right? Everybody does. That's the challenge. And so if we have, and listen, I'm not here to tell you to not go out to eat and not blow money on, just random things that bring you joy, like going to the movies, things like that. But what I am saying is that if you're struggling, and if you're not where you want to be financially, and if you're not on track, and you're not on the right path to reach your financial freedom, then being more intentional about measuring and seeing where your money's going can be one of the most powerful things that you do. Because when we say our money has got to be in alignment with our values and beliefs, well, now when we run, and like I said, I'll send this to Alexi, we run our vision statement and mission statement. When we have our core values, then we go, oh, wow, every time I'm going out and doing these things and blowing money here and this subscription for that, and, taking this little trip or doing this hotel for this, even though I didn't really make an impact or move the needle in my life and my fulfillment, but you're doing it. Maybe just blowing money on different areas that don't matter, going to concerts, and maybe those things matter to you, and you're like, Chris, those things are important to me. It does matter. Once again, it's about living a fulfilled life, and if those are the things that you truly value, then do them. But here's the crazy part. This is what I want to show you. If for instance you had 5% of financial inefficiency, I'm going to write inefficiency. 5% of $90,000 is how much? It's $4,500. Why am I saying this? Because this is what I teach people, is that unfortunately the world is teaching us to spend this $10,000 or to invest this $10,000 and take on all this risk, put our entire financial life on the line to get this $800 return. All the while, you're taking this 5% and blowing it inefficiently. That's $4,500 a year. That's the equivalent, if you really want to break it down, of a 45% rate of return on the $10,000 for that year. How much risk did you need to take for that? The answer is 0. You had to take no risk to do that. It's simple alignment. And the thing is, the other thing to this is this. I'm a big believer that the subconscious mind is what drives our life. There's a great book. I would encourage everybody to read it. It's called The Ant and the Elephant by Vincent Pacenti. And in the book, he talks about the fact that the human brain only allows you to put 100% of effort into something that you believe with 100% certainty you have a chance of being successful with. Do I need to say that again? The human brain will only allow you to put 100% of effort into anything that you believe that you have a 100% chance of being successful with. So that means not that you have to know you're going to be successful, but you have to know you have a chance of being successful. If you don't believe beyond the shadow of a doubt that you have a chance of being successful, if you just go full out, then you're 100% of the time going to self-sabotage. Okay? Now, here's the funny part, how it plays out with our money. Because everybody know, I'm going to do a little education here. Really. Anybody here know the rule of 72? Okay? Okay, the rule of 72, I'll just say it really quickly. So for those who aren't aware. So the rule of 72. And these are just basic things that if you want to be able to do this financial freedom thing, you need to understand these basic principles, okay? So you basically take 72 divided by whatever number equals years to double. So what does that mean? If I say I've got a 10% rate of return, so I go 72 divided by 10 equals 7.2. That means if I invested $100,000 today and I got a 7.2% rate of return, that means that if I got a 10% rate of return, if I got a 10% rate of return, in 7.2 years, that 100K becomes 200K. Okay? That's all it does. But here's how this works against us, because most people don't talk about this. But anybody know the boogeyman called inflation? Right? It's the government's greatest hidden tax that they don't want to tell you about. It's devaluating the dollar. 98% of the valuation and the purchasing power of the dollar has been taken away from us since 1913, when the institution of the Federal Reserve happened. And that just is what it is. That's just history. Did you know that since 1971, when Richard Nixon took us off the gold standard, the average rate of inflation in the United States, even though the target rate of inflation is 2%, the average rate of inflation has been 4.2%. So it's like double. That shows how good the Fed is at managing our monetary policy, first of all. But secondly, the other problem about inflation is that it's kind of like toothpaste. Once it's out, it's kind of hard to get back in the bottle, right? It's really challenging. And so what we have here is when we understand inflation, and I go 72, I'm going to just say divided by 4 equals, oh man, I'm not very good at math right now, but I think it's 18. Okay, so 72, I think it's 18. But that means if you're earning $100,000 today, that 18 years from now, you need to be earning 200K just to maintain your standard of living. This is why a house back in 1980 cost $75,000, and now that house is $1 million, right? Because of inflation. It's not just because of the fact that real estate's been amazing. There's elements of that depending on where you are. That's a whole different conversation. So rule of 72 is a good one. Everybody understand that? Any questions? Everybody could be able to do that? Okay. The next one is the 4% rule. Anybody here heard of the 4% rule? Okay. So the 4% rule is a group of these people that run what they call Monte Carlo simulations. And it's basically where they run the odds and analysis on what is a reasonable chance that your money is going to be able to last for the rest of your life and not run out, right? Because I think it's fair to say that most people's greatest fear is running out of money in retirement. I mean, they've done stats on this. They've done studies on this. More people are scared of running out of money than they are death. And that's just because of the way our human brains work. We don't want to be a burden on the people that we love, right? And if we run out of money, we're going to be a burden on the people we love. So 4% rule basically says that is the number that you can safely do a withdrawal on our retirement income plans, our assets, without running a great risk of running out of money. So what does that mean? So right now, if you're earning $100,000, and I say I need a 4% rule, and if I go that divided by that, that means I got to get $2.5 million. So if I have $2.5 million, I could do a 4% distribution equals 100,000. Okay? So that's where the $100,000 comes from. The 4% rule is saying if you want to be able to maintain your standard of living, let's say you earn 100,000, most people go, okay, I earn this 100,000. That's great. I got this 100,000. And if I need to save up to 2.5 million, I could take 4% and get my $100,000 of income. That's no problem. But here's the problem. You take a 30-year-old right now, a 30-year-old, and we take the rule of 72 and we do the math. Well, that 218 years, so when I'm 48, so let's just say you're 30. I'm going to change to green here for us. If we go, we're 30 right here at 100K. By the time we're 48 years old, you're going to need 200K. And then by the time you are 66 years old, you're going to need 400K because this 200 is going to double to 400. 100 goes to 2, 2 goes to 4. That's how long it takes money to double. How scary is that? So if you're making 100K as a household right now, by the time you retire, you're going to need $400,000 a year just to maintain your standard of living. Guys, this is not my opinion. This is just math. And you go back to like everybody, you take Dave Ramsey. He's still teaching people how to be a millionaire. He hasn't changed his conversation since 1985 when being a millionaire actually meant something. You know what I mean? Being a millionaire now for retirement doesn't mean anything. We're focusing on the wrong things. What matters is cash flow. And the cash flow here is this 4% rule. That's what creates the cash flow. And it doesn't matter how much money you have, does it? When you hit retirement and you have no more income coming in, does it matter how much money you have in your retirement account, or does it matter how long that money will last you? That's what matters the most. How long is it going to last you? And so in order to know that number, we have to know this 4% rule. And so we know that we need $400,000 now in retirement. So what does that mean? If we do the 4% rule, that means we need $10 million in retirement to be able to get this $400,000. I don't know about you. I don't know a person alive that's making 100 grand that has any belief that they have a chance of getting $10 million in their retirement account if they're saving 10% of their income. It just doesn't happen. So this is why I devised cash flow hacking, is to solve this problem. Because if you, even if you can't explain it, first of all, you can't do anything about something you don't understand. So if you did not, before getting on this call, understand the rule of 72 and the 4% rule, you don't even know what you need to measure to even have a chance at being successful. So therefore, you're going to self-sabotage by default simply because you don't know what you don't know. And it's not because you're trying to do anything wrong or whatever, but you can't do anything about something you don't understand. You might get lucky every now and then, but I'm not about luck. I'm about creating a predictable result, right? And so with this, now that we look at this and it's like, wow, okay, $10 million is not going to happen. And so what do I do? Well, cash flow hacking is the answer to it, because the reason $10 million is so hard for you is because if you've never made $10 million, convincing your subconscious that you're going to get to a place of $10 million is an almost impossible thing to do. Okay? Because you can say all the right things, you could do all the affirmations, but unless you feel it, you're going to have a really hard time getting to the place where your subconscious believes in it, right? But so this is what I do. I teach people this concept of cash flow hacking, which is just cash flow investing. So I say, if you're making $100,000, you really need to get to $8,333, even though I can't write it right now. Holy cow, that was really bad. $8,333 per month. That's what you need to be. This equals $100,000 a year. So what do we need to do first and foremost? My philosophy is we go back to the pillars and we, A, figure out what do we need to be doing for personal growth and expansion, right? Okay, so we need to do that. Second one is debt management. Okay, we're gonna go through first and foremost with this, and we're gonna say, all right, it's inefficiencies. How much of that is going to debt servicing? And we need to make sure that we dial in our debt and we're managing our debt effectively, because there's consumption debt and then there's productive debt. It's important to understand that all debt, and I can't go into all the details on this. I've got master classes on it. I've got all sorts of content that I'm happy to give to Alexi, and he could share it with you guys. But all debt comes with leverage, and all leverage comes with risk. And once again, that just becomes, who are you? the biggest challenge isn't that people buy the wrong asset. It's that they don't understand the asset that they're putting in. They don't understand the strategy deeply enough to actually execute accordingly. So if you're going to manage debt effectively, you got to become somebody who knows how to manage debt responsibly, who knows how to identify opportunities, who knows how to set your finances up in a way so even if you take a little risk, that if something goes wrong, you have the buffer to be able to manage it, right? And to be able to navigate the challenges and the negative swings that kind of come along with that territory with risk and with the leveraging of that money. And so with that, what I would say is, okay, debt management efficiency, that's all fine and good, but now we have to go into savings. So we know we need to get to this, rather than thinking about, let's get to this $10 million mark right here. Let's think about getting to $8,333 a month. And if you can think about that, now it's something your subconscious can believe in. Do you know why? It's because you see $8,333 a month go through your checking account every single month. So you believe you can do it because you've done it. Maybe not through the investment way, but your subconscious doesn't understand that. It only understands the numbers that we're looking at. And they know, I've done it over here, so I could probably do it over here. Does that make sense? So that's the key. The first game here is doing the work to grow to become who you need to be. And the second game is programming your subconscious. And those are the principles. And now we got to get into the tactics and the strategies and the tactics. And there's a first strategy, which is the debt management. And there's a lot of tactics in there on what we can do for different debt management vehicles. Once again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. But then the second or third pillar is financial savings optimization. So the savings optimization is, I believe, well, I said it earlier, one of my favorite phrases, you got to be willing to go slow to go fast. The biggest challenge in this world is one of the greatest lies in personal finance is the younger you are, the more risk you can take. Anybody ever heard that before? The younger you are, the more risk you can take? Well, I think it makes sense. You know, I see, like, I guess I'll say it this way. There's an element of truth in all of the greatest lies ever told. Everybody agree to that? Otherwise, nobody would believe them. So there's an element of truth in all of the greatest lies ever told. And this lie, specifically, the younger you are, the more risk you can take, has some truth in it, woven into it, because the reality is, when I was 24, if I went and took a risk and failed, I had more time to make up for my blunder. And so I could make up for it. And so therefore I could take more risk. And that's how they like to treat you and train you to think, because that keeps you kind of a slave to the system in a way. However, what I teach people is the younger you are, the less risk you have to take because you have time and compounding on your side. So if you could start working on this concept of saving early, and this is stuff that I wish I knew when I was in my early 20s that I did not know. And if you have the ability for time and compounding to be put on your side, well, then execute. And when you do that, the less risk you need to take. To me, it shouldn't be the younger you are, the more risk you could take. It should be the older you are and the further away from your financial goals you are, the more risk you have to take, because you got to start throwing some Hail Marys. Anybody here like football? Okay. So Tom Brady, greatest quarterback of all time, even though I can't stand the guy. When they ran, and one of the things that Bill Belichick and all of his assistants and Tom Brady were like just known for was scripting out the game plan at the beginning of the games, right? And then what happened was Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, they would script out the first 15 plays, no matter what, knew those plays were going to be what they were. And they knew them because they understood the defense, right? And they understood that defense. They scripted those plays out, and they were doing them. It didn't matter if it was 1st and 10, 2nd and 10, 2nd and 2, whatever. Those first 15 plays were going to be what they were because they did their study the whole week before the game, and they were going to execute. And then as you go, you learn, you grow, you adapt to the defense, and you realize they either were prepared for what you had done, they weren't prepared for what you'd done, you got way ahead of them, and if you hit some really good scores and they scored a couple touchdowns out of the gate and they were ahead of the game, they could hit the ground and pound game. They could go the running game. If they fell behind and the defense had it against them, they could start throwing the ball more. They maybe had to play catch up and had to take a little more risk in different things, push the ball down the field a little bit more. Who knows, right? But they had to adapt. Imagine at the beginning of every kickoff for every game, Tom Brady just starts throwing Hail Marys from play one. That's the world of personal finance that we live in, guys. Tom Brady not using any of his brain, any of his skill, not game planning, not whatever. He's just throwing bombs right out of the gate every single play. It doesn't make sense. So what I say is you gotta game plan, and you gotta like really be willing to go slow to go fast. Build your savings. But here's the deal. With the financial savings, the optimization here, this is where you got to be willing to go slow to go fast, is you have to build this to a place where you have your emergency fund and then build what I call an opportunity fund. And you have to seek opportunity. And you have to seek opportunity based on the 4th pillar, which I call your investor DNA. So there's, I don't know, 16, 20 people on this call, something like that. And I guarantee you every single person on this call has their own unique gifts, skills, abilities, weaknesses, all these things. And it's a beautiful thing. With that, you have to identify what your investor DNA is. And if you follow this process of what I've said and think about it, you invest in personal growth. I'm going to kind of recap it a little bit to this point. You invest in personal growth and expansion. You learn how to manage debt more effectively. You start saving, and you save, and you don't just save for the sake of saving. You save with the intent of investing because you're growing, you're investing, you're surrounding yourself with a community. You're becoming who you need to become a good investor, not outsourcing the investor responsibility to some dumb financial advisor who doesn't really have your best interest at heart. You're taking radical accountability for the results in your life. And then when you get to that place, you identify what your investor DNA is, what your unique gifts, skills, abilities are. If you're interested in real estate, you learn it, you master it. That's part of your personal growth and expansion plan. If you are interested in other things, you could do things like private lending. You could do, there are so many things. I could do a whole course just on the investor DNA stuff and making sure that your money is in alignment with your values and beliefs and your unique gifts, skills, and abilities, and helping you do that. And I promise you, when you go at it from these angles and you look at the first 4 steps here and you follow that process, I think you probably can all see how you're going to be more fulfilled in that process at the same time. And you're going to have more control over the results in your life, which is also going to incentivize you. It's going to increase your subconscious belief in your success. So then you're going to actually execute. And then because you're involved with it and you're intentional about it every single day, you're actually going to show up for yourself and execute and build a game plan and script the plays and go through that process. That's the key. And so you figure out whatever your investor DNA is, and then when you invest, you make sure you invest for cash flow. That is your metric, is the cash flow. It's not how much in assets do I have, what is my net worth, it's what is the cash flow on that look like. And so when we go over here on this $8,333 a month, when we look at this, then it's like, okay, I went out and maybe it takes me 5 years and I save, I don't know, $150,000 for a 5-year period. Let's say I save $30,000 a year is what I was able to save. That may be a little big for some, but anybody, you can move these numbers around. But I saved $150,000, and I could take this 150. I could do a lot of things with it. I could private lend. I could go buy real estate. Let's just say you went and bought turnkey real estate property. For this price, you could buy a couple $400,000 houses. So if we could go buy 2 properties, because these are going to be the down payments. And what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to use it for down payments, and we're going to have, say 6 to 8% cash flow that's going to cover all of our expenses, plus maybe $500 a month cash flow. $500 per month cash flow right here. And so now that doesn't seem like a lot. And you might be like, it took me 5 years to get to that place. Yeah, but now you have this extra $500 a month. You don't spend that cash flow. It doesn't go to your lifestyle. It goes back into recapitalizing this, and you're still saving this every single year because your other active income doesn't change. And now what do you have? You have tenants paying your mortgage down. You have tenants paying your interest. You have tenants covering your expenses. You're earning appreciation on the properties. I'm just using this one example. You could do this with business. You could do you could do private lending. You could do a lot of different things. I'm just using real estate because to me, real estate is the one that makes the most sense. And when we do this, we could see it takes you 5 years to get 2 properties. Maybe it takes you another 2 years to get 1 more property. By year 7, you got 3 properties. By year 8, you probably have 4. By year 9, you have like 6. And by year 10, you could probably, at that point in time, have another 7 properties. Now, that's still not going to get you where you want to go necessarily. There are things that you can do along the way. But once again, 10 years down the road, if I look at this number, if I've got 7 properties, if you break it down, I'm going to have, let's just say $3,500 a month cash flow, monthly cash flow. But it's going to be more than that because you know what else you have? We have inflation that we talked about, right? So you have a 5% increase in rent that happens every year on every property. So this 500 is going to get bigger every single month. The valuation, the real estate values are going to go up. So your equity is going to go up. So you will literally have over $1 million in net worth in this period of time, plus the cash flow, more than 3,500, probably more than like the $5,000 range based on inflation for cash flow. That's just 10 years doing it very, very basically. Anybody can start and do this, right? Now, in 10 years, you've like literally more than chunked off what you need here, especially if you consider, all right, we've got the cash flow, plus I have this $1 million plus of net worth I could do whatever I want to do with. Now, you can save more, you can take more leverage, you can take more risk. All the things that I just did there, aside from having a mortgage on the properties, is done with like no leverage. And so if you want to do some things and cash out refis to leverage up and get more homes and so on and so forth, you could do that. Just understand you're taking on more risk. Does that make sense? Some people believe that's the way to go. Some people don't. I'm not about telling people what they should or shouldn't do with their assets. I'm about saying, hey, just understand the rules of the game, and then you have to create your own decisions based on your level of understanding. And the gap is, are you who you need to be making that decision? Is it in alignment with your values and beliefs? And are you in a position to be able to take that extra leverage on? That's what it comes down to. And so then when we come back here, the fifth one is legacy. Legacy and tax planning. Okay. Now, this is where Stephen Covey always said you got to start with the end in mind and reverse engineer a plan to get to where you want to go. Is that fair? Everybody ever read 7 Habits of Highly Effective People? Right? So when you read that book and he says that, it's like, okay, what does that even mean? In our world, I said before, everybody, when we run a business, we got to build that business with an exit plan. We don't know we're going to exit the business, but we know we're going to exit this life at some point in time. And so what is your exit plan? What do you want your life to be about? And so that's where starting with a legacy plan, and this is where traditional financial planning gets it backwards. They traditionally don't even have you start thinking about a legacy plan till you're 65 or 70. When if you want to use life insurance and the assets that are actually designed for you to maximize your legacy plan, it's going to be so expensive that you're going to be like, I don't want to do that. That doesn't make sense. It's not as good of a rate of return. It's not this. It's not that. I don't have the cash flow for it. So never mind. I'm not going to do it. And so then, therefore, you never are able to actualize your legacy plan. Now, I do a lot of whole life insurance sales. Properly designed whole life insurance, to me, is the foundational asset behind what we do. The reason for that isn't because of whole life insurance. It's because of all the things that I've been talking to you about my values, my beliefs, control about money, investing for cash flow, being able to create a specific result on a predictable basis. Those are the things that I find valuable. Okay. And so when I look at this and I say, all right, why does whole life fit into here? Is I need to make sure that I'm managing my debt effectively. And I need to make sure that if I have money in my whole life policy, I can what we call refi debt into the policy. If you have cash in other assets, one of the ways we've all met people, I should say, that did a cash out refi on their house, maybe had liquidated a 401k because they had credit card debt. Somebody talked to them and they're like, hey, Alexi, man, you got this $30,000 in credit card debt. You've got 30K in your or maybe 40K in your 401k. So why don't we just liquidate that? Because your 401k is only earning 8%. You're paying 20% on your credit cards. So it makes sense to just liquidate, pay the penalty, pay the taxes on your 401k, and pay off that debt. It'll free up cash flow. It'll rebuild your credit. It'll do a lot of good things for you. And then you can start saving more. And then Alexi does that. And then if Alexi's like most humans in this world, he just goes back to doing what he does, runs his credit card up. Now he's further behind, right? And so one of the things that we do is we utilize a refinance plan for debt into whole life insurance. So whatever you have for assets, if you do have a chunk of change, you first flow it through a policy, and then you take a loan against that policy to pay off the credit card debt. You do all the positive things, but you still have this loan over here that you're obligated to for the policy. But the difference is instead of 20%, you're paying, say, 5%. And while you're paying 5%, the policy is still growing and never interrupt the growth of that money. And so your effective interest rate is actually zero, right? And that's where it becomes powerful. So that's how we can utilize whole life insurance from a debt perspective. But now on a savings perspective, when we talk about utilizing life insurance from a savings perspective, I believe we need to be utilizing as an emergency fund. Okay? When we look at, well, how many months? I'm going to ask you guys this. How many months does everybody think you should have? Maybe put it in the chat or whatever in an emergency fund. How many months of income do you think you should have in an emergency fund in case something goes wrong? 3 to 5, 6 to 12. Okay, 12, 6, 6, 6. Okay, so I'll tell you this. 6 is the most common answer that I get, and I'm really big on asking why, right? Why? And the answer here is Dave Ramsey and Susie Orman. They're the ones who perpetuated this, and they say you got to have 6 months. It's one of his baby steps, one of Dave Ramsey's baby steps that is perpetuated throughout this country. You got to have 6 months in emergency fund. And why? Well, in case you lose your job. Okay. I'm here to challenge all of you that if your greatest emergency in your life is losing your job, you're thinking way too small. To me, your greatest emergency is being diagnosed with cancer, having a stroke, having a heart attack, not being able to work because you have a medical challenge that pulls you away from your ability to provide for your family. And then you lose your dignity and you feel like you're a burden and you become depressed and you spiral. And when we look at this, those are the real emergencies. And so one of the things that I love about whole life insurance, when we talk about it through a emergency perspective, is the money is going to out earn the interest rate on a savings account. Okay. So you're basically going to pace just a little bit higher than inflation long term in a whole life insurance policy. It's one of the challenges. A lot of people say, oh, whole life insurance is a horrible investment. It is a horrible investment. It's not an investment at all. There's no risk in a whole life policy. It's a savings alternative. And if we started comparing it to a savings alternative, that's what it's all about, right? And so when we go from that, all right, it's going to out earn that. We're also going to get life insurance, which is great. So if I could get you a better return than your savings account and give you life insurance on top of that, okay, and I keep the money liquid while I need it, it's going to be like 90% liquid. That's pretty awesome, right? But here's the deal. I just talked about what are the greatest risks: heart attack, cancer, stuff of that nature. When we talk about an emergency fund, right? We want the liquidity of the money, but the real emergency isn't losing our job. It's the other things that we just discussed. And so your savings account doesn't account for that, but a properly designed whole life insurance policy is going to come with what we call living benefits. What does that mean? If you become critically, chronically, or terminally ill. Sorry about the handwriting. 1, 2, 3. Those 3 areas. You have access to the death benefit on a tax-free basis to use for alternative treatment, to use for whatever you want. Pay for medical treatments, to pay for your income, to do anything that you want. And so to me, that's why whole life insurance is the best emergency fund. So you can see I've already got the management. It works with you there. It works with you on the savings. It works with the emergency fund. And then it also works for the opportunity fund, because let's say none of this goes wrong and you have it. Now you can leverage it, and this opportunity fund money can be used to buy real estate. You can go do the private lending. You can invest and start your own business. You could do all these different things. But it's all about growing. Are you noticing a process here? Are you noticing a pattern in everything that I'm doing? It's not about a one quick fix on everything. It's about this process of growing, evolving, investing in yourself, expanding, and creating a predictable result over time, and being willing to go slow to go fast. Because if we do this and we set and build the foundation, one of the things that I teach a lot is this concept of financial pyramid, right? So we have, cash flow is everything. Then we need savings and insurance. This is the foundation. And then we can start taking medium and then high risks, right? And the problem is that's not what most people do. Most people do this. They get it upside down. Imagine all those are backwards. Most people are just saying, screw all that other stuff. We're just going to go to the high risk stuff. And the younger we are, the more risk we could take. And the problem is they build their whole financial life on this one little point of instability. They don't have these things figured out. And if you don't have your pyramid figured out, well, now one little bad period can completely derail our life. And when this happens, well, now all of a sudden the whole world falls over. And so 10 years goes by, you think you're doing really well, and then bang, you got to start over. Meanwhile, over here, if you go and you build the foundation and you build a strong foundation, even when you start to invest a little high risk, if you lose some, it's not the biggest deal, because you just, you send a scaffolding crew up and you rebuild the top of your pyramid over time, because you got the good solid foundation, and this thing is not going to fall down. That's what it's all about. I'm telling you guys, financial structure is infinitely more important than rate of return and all these other things. Build your financial structure, put your money in places that are in alignment with your values and beliefs, that help you actually reach freedom and help solve all these other problems and give you peace of mind and align with your subconscious. Because when you do this, now you're going to be able to go through and you're going to start thinking like, all right, I need to make $8,333 a month. Year 1, my goal is to get to $200 a month in passive cash flow. Maybe year 1 through 3, there's no goal of getting cash flow. It's just saving to build the foundation, knowing that you're on the path. And then year 4, I want to hit a couple $100 a month in cash flow. Year 5, and you just work towards it. And now subconsciously, you're going to be checking that box off. And guess what? You're going to continually grow. And you're now building a process in that your subconscious can get behind, because 5 years from now, maybe you need to be at $9,000 a month because you've made more money, you're more successful. But you get to constantly check in every single year and understand the rules of the game, what you need to do to measure to get to where you want to go, and that's going to help you create a predictable result in your life. So, questions?
Wow, talk about a foundation and then some. I love how Chris is able to really speak not from just the mind but the heart, aligning who you are, your gifts, and the financial foundation that will really support funding your dreams. And one of the big things for me is also the impact, right? The legacy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean it's everything, and we got to start with the end in mind. And the legacy part is something that we don't talk about enough. I think people are scared about it because it feels too big, and people don't want to live into it. Or and one thing that I've noticed, and I hate saying this, but I'm going to say it, is people lack vision. They just they do they don't have the vision most of the time to think long enough term. And so it really takes somebody to help lead and guide and show them and encourage them to think about the long term, to think about the things that are ultimately going to matter to them most later in life and deal with them now. One of the things that I guess I always tell people is, well, I guess it's one of my favorite quotes, is just because the ostrich buries his head in the sand doesn't mean the lion's dinner plans have changed. Right? These are all things that we have to deal with at some point in time. We're all getting out of this, like we're all going to transition to the next life at some point in time. We all have to deal with retirement. We all have to deal with these things that are coming down the road that are maybe 20, 30, 40 years down the road if you don't do it the right way. But make no mistake about it, it is your thing to deal with. And we can bury our head in the sand about it, but if we do, we're going to get eaten. And so I just look at it as I love empowering people. I love showing people processes and roadmaps to create predictable results in all the things. And I've probably studied this money game more than anybody you guys will ever meet in your life. Like, I'm pretty obsessed with it. And this is the only framework that I've seen that actually helps you create a predictable result. And the only variable, listen, there's always going to be issues with where there's risks, right? But the difference is with my strategy and philosophy and framework, the risk is you actually showing up for yourself, right? If you show up for yourself and you execute and you commit, you win 100% of the time. 100% of the time. Like, I promise you, you cannot do what I'm talking about on this video, in this training, and not win. You just can't do it. Now, I can't guarantee a time frame. Some of you will win faster. Some of you will win slower, but you'll still win. That's the difference. I don't want to be all hypey. Like, there's some people out there that are like, oh, I'm going to get you to retirement in 10 years and this and that, whatever. Like, I could show you a path that if you're willing, that you could create complete financial freedom in 7 to 10 years, starting from nothing. And we have success stories like that. And that's not necessarily the predictable result, right? So that's why I don't talk about it like that. I mean, I'd probably sell a lot more if I did it that way, but I wouldn't be really serving people if I did it that way. And I really want to teach people the frameworks and the processes to create that predictable result. And if it takes you 10 years, cool. 7 years, cool. 15 years, cool. 20 years, cool. Guess what? No matter what, it's going to be better than the alternative. So yeah, hopefully you guys found value in that. Hopefully it helps give clarity and maybe inspiration a little bit or whatever. But I'm happy to help. I'm happy to do anything anybody needs to kind of wrap their heads around this. Alexi's amazing, and yeah, man, anything I can do to serve the community. I have books. I'll send you guys all a free copy of the ebook of the What Would the Rockefellers Do. Alexi, I'll just send you a copy and you could share it with them. and
Sounds
and
like
go.
a plan, Chris. By the way,
Cool.
we have Dora and Sophia that may have a question or may
Perfect. Yeah, let's do
comment.
Q&A.
And just to let you guys know, thank you so much for being here for this amazing hour of power. You guys make all the difference. When you show up, this makes our world make sense. So thank you for showing up. Thank you for being the leaders that you are in your lives and your communities. And I do want to let you know that if you have to go, we'll get you the recording. And this portion next, we're really going to go into after hours. I'm going to choose to keep the recording going and we can divide it at this point. But thank you to Chris for sticking around to the after hours and answering some questions for amazing thought leaders, servant leaders, and the people that are part of our community. Dora, your hand was first.
Thank you, Alexi, and thank you, Chris. So here's my question for you. For those of us that are older and who are already at retirement age, where would you suggest we begin today?
Yeah, so if you're in retirement, I think it's important to do an audit. The principles don't change. The strategies and tactics may change, but the principles don't. And so it still comes down to where are you now, and where do you want to be? What does a life that matters look like to you, right? So that principle doesn't change. And so you got to get really, really clear on what you want your life to be about and what a life that matters looks like to you. Once you have clarity on that, then you have to kind of do an audit on what do your personal finances look like. What assets are you currently using? What is it all based on this new education, based on the 4% rule, the rule of 72, the new kind of your new ability to kind of analyze and break this stuff down. How does it all look like? And based on your current resources, your assets that you have, how close to being able to accomplish that life that matters to you are you able to do? And so it's going to be different for different people. And so at that point in time, though, that's where we start. It's not about looking for the products. It's about looking for the attributes of different assets and different strategies that kind of help us solve different problems, right? And so at that point in time for you, and it just depends on where you're at. Obviously, if you're blessed with an abundance of resources and you've saved a lot and your investments have done well, obviously it's way easier. And you can reposition some of those assets to lock in a guaranteed result. And then you can take excess assets and you can do more to create more, take on more risk to try to create more growth, and so on and so forth. And leave more for legacy and all that stuff. And sometimes, and what I find most of the time, sadly, is if people are just too far or further behind than they were hoping, right? And they're not able to do that. And so then the conversation goes to, well, how much longer am I going to have to work? What other things can I do? How can I actually take what I have and leverage it and get it in alignment with my values and beliefs? Because that's, like I said, that's what it's all about, is alignment. And even if you're at retirement right now, and chances are you probably have more assets than somebody who's 30, right? Because you're in retirement and you wouldn't be retired if you had no assets. So you have something. So now it's a matter of making sure that that where you are, there is an actual alignment with what you're saying you want to do. And I'm a big believer in all this stuff, is the philosophy of kind of processing everything through a funnel of, or a filter of what's the upside, because we got to look at the upside potential. We got to look at what's the downside potential, like worst case scenario. So it's what's the upside, what's the downside? Can I live with the downside? And if the answer is I can't live with the downside, then the answer is a hard no. You don't do it. And so I think a lot of people get really excited on the upside potential of things and they just ignore the downside and they're just optimistic. And I used to do this really bad, and now I would say that looking at the downside, yeah, we want to be optimistic. We want to look at the upside, but we also have to understand the downside so we can make it so we don't derail our entire dream, and entire purpose. Not even a dream, it's a purpose. And these one bad decision can completely derail your entire life's purpose and make you start over on the path. And so that's what I would say. And so regardless, step one, Dora, would be I'll send Alexi the values and beliefs workbook as well. and he could share that with you guys. And I would say go through that. That would be step one for everybody. Period. Who's next?
Dora, I think you're muted.
Oh,
Yep.
no, I was good. I'm good with Chris.
Okay.
I think that's great. That's
Okay.
I always ask that question, or ask a question of
Yep.
where do we begin and what do we start with, and so that was
Cool.
good. I'm looking forward to the book. I think
Awesome.
Sophia is probably next.
Cool.
Hey, neighbor, it's good to see you. And I noticed that you moved to the DR, so we know each other through Teresa. We met way back when you were still in Chandler.
Oh yeah, how's it going?
I was doing Smart Cities, so that's probably what you remember me from.
Yeah.
I have some questions. Being in business, I'm more going to be geared towards that in the questions. I have tons, but I'll just ask one or two now and then come back around. But what's the most overlooked tax planning or legacy strategy that you see entrepreneurs missing? And how can business owners set up structures now to maximize tax efficiency and like long-term wealth transfer?
Whoa, that's like a whole hour course on its own. So the good questions. So I'm gonna have to simplify it a little bit, and then you can dive deeper if I don't answer sufficiently for you. How about that? So for entrepreneurs, for business owners, there's a lot of different tax strategies that we have to look at. One of the challenges that business owners have in general is that you're always facing a dilemma, a decision of investing in business for growth and investing in your future. And so what I find with business owners is they look at their exit from their business as their retirement plan, thinking that they're at some point in time going to get hit with this windfall of capital, and that's going to be it. And in the meantime, they're challenged with the idea that if I invest in my 401k or anywhere else, for that matter, if I save money, that means it's money that I'm taking out of my business and I'm shrinking my business ability to grow. And so I would say that every business, this comes down to the principles, right? It kind of comes back to be willing to go slow, go fast, be willing to save, be willing to build your foundation for your business the same way. I don't know if everyone knows this, but in 2008, when obviously the Great Recession happened, 70% of the businesses that failed that were actually cash flow positive.
Wow.
It's crazy. You can look this up. 70% of the businesses that failed were actually cash flow positive. The reason that they failed is because of the fact that they didn't have the reserves and that they didn't have the buffer and they couldn't meet payroll and they couldn't. So I'll put it to you. So I got a buddy who owns an HVAC company in Vermont, and his company was set up really well. His dad, it's a very mature company. His dad had it for a long time. Wasn't the biggest company, but they had a really good reputation. And in 2008, when it happened, when everything happened, his three biggest competitors went out of business, even though they were more profitable than him, but they were over leveraged. They didn't have a financial foundation of safety. They didn't have reserves. They weren't prepared for anything. And now all of a sudden they had to meet payroll. They had to meet the servicing of their debt. They had all their car loans for all the vans, for the HVAC vans that they had running around. They had all these contracts out, all the inventory, all the overhead on all that, and they went out of business. My buddy's dad and him bought all three businesses up for literally 20 cents on the dollar.
Wow.
And now my buddy went from being like literally the number 3 out of those 4. Now he is literally 3 times bigger than anybody else in the area. And it had nothing to do with anything except for taking advantage of economic cycles and being opportunistic and having the right financial structure. So the principles of financial structure don't change. And that's why I think it's important to have that financial safety thing there. Now, the other thing is to be more direct about like the tax conversation or so on and so forth. There's a lot there when it comes to business structure, taxation, the type of business you are, so on and so forth, obviously has a lot that plays into that. I'm obviously not licensed to give tax advice, so to speak. But what I can say is the old adage of own nothing and control everything kind of comes into play. You want to have, if obviously there's different types of businesses. You want to have LLCs, all properties. If you're a real estate investor or a different business owner, like you can have different ownership structures utilizing trusts in different ways to make sure that you're mitigating taxes. I don't think if you do it right, you're ever going to completely get out of taxes we could delay taxes. That's a lot of these really complex trusts that people use. They're talking about delaying taxes, and they try to, the really nefarious ones try to position it like you're getting out of taxes, but you're not. You're delaying taxes on it until you do a distribution. And that sounds really good at the beginning, but it's not necessarily always the best thing from a long-term perspective. I look at taxes as kind of one of those things that we just have to deal with to a certain extent. Too many people try to be a little clickbaity about trying to avoid taxes and trying to get out of taxes. And there are certain areas that you can. There are certain areas and investments where you get actual deductions and not deferrals. There are certain credits that you can get and rather than deduction or deferrals. And those are all good. It's so unique industry by industry. I would say that the key is working with a good tax strategist and a tax like CPA who understands your industry. For instance, I've got my accountant now for my company Life 180 that's really just awesome in the life insurance space. We have our investment fund for our property down in the Dominican Republic and all the money that we raise and all the stuff that we do for that. I have a completely different set of accountants that have different strategies and ways that they only focus in this area. So once again, it's the who, not how. I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned over the years is who, not how. And it's like I can try to figure it all out, but I'd rather work with the experts that know exactly what they're doing in those space and be really focused in. And so it's important to surround yourself with a team that understands these things. If I'm going to go start a new business in a completely new industry, I want to find somebody who's a tax strategist and an accountant that has worked in that industry. Because listen, the tax code is like one of the most complicated documents in the history of the world. And finding people that focus in these areas in different industries, whether it's manufacturing, whether it's real estate, whether it's service-based businesses, whatever it is, there's all these loopholes that, so the best tax advice I could give is work with somebody that can show you that they have success in helping people manage and mitigate as much tax as possible working in those industries. And, then from a legacy planning perspective, obviously you want to make sure that you always have a succession plan with your business. You always have your will and trusts and estate planning documents up to date, which most people do not. And I'm talking, it's like $2,500 to make sure you have everything done the right way. And, if you have a 6-figure business or more, like that's the biggest no-brainer in the world. And that's the biggest thing that I see people missing out on right now. And so it is just, you'd be shocked how many people I see with multi-7-figure businesses and they don't have any documentation about anything. And so just to kind of keep it really simple, that's what I would say is that's the way to start. The other stuff gets really, really complicated and there's so many layers to it. Once again, that could be a 5-hour course just on with tax specialists in all those areas. So I think it comes down to the who, not how, and working with people who really specialize in your niche and getting good referrals from people that work in your space that can make those introductions, or being willing to work with a group or a CPA that will give you a referral because they all know each other. Like they all have their groups of people. And if you do, the other thing is I would even ask ChatGPT or something. Just say, who are the best accountants to work with in this niche. That would be the best tax strategist in this space. ChatGPT has become my new best friend and coach. It's awesome. Yeah. Did that answer?
Yeah, great. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you. Who's next?
Max, you're next.
Hey, Chris, I just want to say thank you for your wisdom and knowledge because I think that's the number one enemy with everybody is not knowing how to work their money because their money, you shouldn't work for your money should work for you. And
Yep.
I think a lot of people got it backwards or unfortunately just was taught that. Never
Yep.
we were shown anything other than that. So my question is what about the whole life? What company would you say is the best company to go with? Because I went with Prudential, and
Oh no.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
When did you do that?
I did that about 4 years ago.
Okay. So you have an IUL then, not a whole life.
Right, right. And I got rid of the IUL, and I just have life insurance with them.
Okay.
So, just because I got, taken for a couple grand
Yep.
and I was just like, no, this isn't what I signed up for. So
Mm-hmm.
I had the idea, but I was just kind of led into something else. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
interested in that.
Unfortunately, that's a sad story that I hear a lot is people looking for all the things that whole life offers, and then there's literally 30 IUL agents out there right now compared to one whole life agent, and it's a real travesty in this industry, and I think it's going to have an unfortunate wave of negative consequences. I have a new book coming out called IUL Exposed. It's coming out this month, and it's all about educating people about it. It's been my life's work for the past 8 years to fight that industry. Because it's the most misrepresented product in the history of personal finance. It's really unfortunately TikTok and Instagram and YouTube and all the hype videos of people selling on half truths. I heard somebody say the other day, 2 half truths equal a whole lie. So
Yeah.
it's that is the world that is in is IUL, and so I guess the only thing I'd say, Max, is it just comes back down to understanding the financial structure of stuff that you need to do, right? And it's like unfortunately, you don't want to throw good money after bad, and it's your situation still is what it is. So it's just starting from here, doing the best you can from here forward, evaluating where you are with the products that you have, the insurances that you have, the savings that you have, the investments that you have, and saying, all right, well, how does this all, once again, it all comes back to alignment from a principled perspective. How is it all in alignment? And then, finding the areas that are out of alignment and then adjusting. There's a whole, process called PDCA: plan, do, check, adjust. Make a plan, do the plan, check the results, and adjust where necessary. And that's what we just got to go through that process. And so you're just got to check the results where you're at right now, see what's in there, and make adjustments to get everything into alignment. And yeah, that's what I would say. And I would get with Alexi, and I'm happy to help if you want me to evaluate anything that you have. I'm happy to
Yeah.
personally take a look at it.
Yeah. I would love that.
And I could kind of give you some insight on things to do moving forward.
Yeah. I appreciate it because I'm a single dad with 2 girls. I did buy a house
Okay.
and I have that going for me. I'm
Cool.
back with my mother, but I drive for UPS and
Okay.
I make about 120K a year.
Cool.
So, I have the investment mind. I've always been there, but just never really had the direction. So,
Love it, man. Well, I'm happy to help and sit down and go through the process. I would say the same for you, Max. It's like go through that values and beliefs workbbook when I send it to Alexi. And then, and for anybody, I'll say this to anybody on the call, anybody that does that and goes through and actually it'll take you 2 to 3 hours to really do it. Anybody that does that, if you want to take a next step, I'm happy to have a personal call with you and go through it with you.
Wow.
I'm in.
So cool.
You guys don't really understand what kind of gift that was. Chris's time is exponentially valuable, and I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. Oh my God, thank you. I'm going to be making sure that I know who's on this call, so we're not abusing your.
Cool. Yeah, it's got to
I
be
really-
the people that were here live. I can't do it for everybody. Yeah, for sure.
Now we have Dr. Roberta.
Okay.
And ladies, thank you so much for having your question in. Can we do our best to be clear and concise so that way we can honor time and do our best to get these couple of questions in the last few minutes so that we all can move forward with our lives and we can allow Chris to enjoy his family. And again, thank you so much for choosing to treat us as part of your chosen family and
Totally.
being an exception. Thank you.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, good. My question to the young man is that this was a great meeting, and I'm glad that I was invited to attend today. I love the fact that he talked about what we learned years ago, the 72 rule, but I had never heard of the other rule, and I hope that information is in his book that he sends to you.
It is.
Also, he is right. Back in 2009 and 8, when the recession happened, you have to be on your faith because the Spirit of the Lord told me to actually downsize that year, okay? And I was up to $500,000 a year. And I started downsizing it and found everything for a whole year, working with the government, come to find out that I would tell my director that God would say, downsize, downsize, downsize. And I had downsized a whole year. And that is the only way, like you talked about your cash flow. I make great cash flow. That is not my issue. I like what you were saying about all your planning, and I'm going to participate in that. But I love the fact that when you said that those companies fail, I didn't fail. I didn't fall because I didn't make the cash flow. It's just that I downsized. And I got down. So when it did hit, I was already under the budget and had been operating under that budget for about 6 months. I actually walked out the house one day with without my cell phone, and my hands start literally shaking. And it was like, are you that addicted to it? So I just want to let you know that this guy is right in what he's saying. I've been in business 29 years, and he's telling the truth.
Thank you.
It's not your cash flow. It's the cash flow at the end and what you can maintain. Thank you.
Thank you. Great feedback.
Cece had her hand up.
Yes.
Is that me?
Yes.
Hi, thank you so much, Chris.
You got it.
Great information. I know about the Rule 72, but not about the Rule 4. So I'm looking forward to that. I have a question. My question to you is this. Can you walk me through, if you have a $375,000 and you are trying to invest it, what area would you invest that money? If you are, say, 54, like Dora asked, and you are willing to retire, what strategy would you use to save that money?
Well, I hate to sound like I'm bouncing around this question, but it's going to go back to the same principles. You got to figure out I can't give advice. I don't know you. You know what I mean? I don't know what a life that matters looks like to you. I don't know what the rest of your assets look like. I don't know what the rest of your lifestyle looks like. I don't know what your debt situation is. I don't know what your cash flow situation is. I don't know what your short-term goals are. I don't know what your unique gifts, skills, and abilities are. I don't know what your weaknesses are. And if you don't mind, like I don't want to like make it sound bad, because your question is, I mean, I honor the question because people in your situation are, I mean, that's a big deal, right? Like $375,000 is a lot of money. And the future of your goals and and actualizing your purpose in this world are tied to potentially how you handle that money. And so this is the challenge with stuff like this is people ask those questions all the time, and traditional financial advisors are going to have these cookie cutter answers for you on what you should or shouldn't do with it. And that's bull crap, quite frankly. The answer for you is there is no right or wrong way to handle that $375,000. Is it in alignment? The only right answer is it in alignment with your goals and objectives and your values and beliefs, what you want your life to be about and what a life that matters looks like to you, because money is just a tool to create that life. And so you have to, now, of course, along the way, you've got to live, you got to pay for your lifestyle, you have all these things, but you got to look at all the different variables that go into it. And so, once again, I hate to sound like a broken record, but I'd say, like, fill out the values and beliefs workbook, go through that, and then I'm happy to sit down with you.
Well, that tells me that you are really truthful to what you believe in, because that is, a lot of people would take a cookie cutter answer and just dissect it. So that's very good. So you have been really, really informative today, and I'm really ready to learn more from you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chris, I just want to say, when I think of you now, and this has been amazing, I took 4 pages of notes. The one word that comes to my mind is integrity. Because those cookie cutter answers is that they're trying to get that $375,000 to get a commission. They're thinking about themselves. And for all of you, this has been one of the best we've ever had, and we've had some really good ones. I don't really have a question. I just want to thank you, and I think I speak for everyone, for your time, for your heart, and the fact that now we have access to you, for those of you that do the work, that fill it out. And you said The Ant and the Elephant. Is that by Vince Pacente?
Yeah, Vincent Pacenti.
Okay. Yeah,
Yep.
because went on YouTube and there's a bunch of cartoons, a little children book, but then on Audible there's a
Yeah,
real book. Thank you.
it is
I just want to
so
clarify
good.
that.
It
Yeah,
is.
I
It
just
is one
ordered
of the
it.
best books. Buy it. Your kids can read it. It's a fable.
Yeah, yeah.
It's amazing. But it's so powerful.
Well, thank you for your time, for your heart, and thank your wife for staying in communication with my brother from another mother, Mr. Lexi.
She's
Love
going
you.
like this. She's going like this in the background. She heard you.
Love her. Thank you.
She said she loves this tribe already.
Chris, again, thank you so much for choosing to show up. Hannah, thank you for being the neck. When Chris might be the head, you get to point him in the right direction. And
Yes,
I
she
appreciate
does.
your love and your care, and you are a true human potential activator, because you're doing that with,
Yeah.
and I can see that.
Nice.
Because I truly believe there's amazing things that can come out of this hour of power, of collaboration, growth, and really protection. Because there's very few places that I personally know of where in a second somebody would not recommend a reason, a thing for somebody to invest that money into that might not be in the best interest of you. And so just be mindful of that. We choose to create a safe space, and we choose to bring people with integrity first and foremost. And Chris, thank you so much. And I just wanted to add to the conversation because it's been on my mind. You shared something about the fact that people have stopped dreaming. And one of the things that I've observed, right, and this is something that we really talk in our community about, is the concept of the ladder of success, right? When you are in crisis or survival or sustainability or scale, you are in different states of mind. And it's very hard to focus on legacy or those strategic steps when you're in crisis. And so just an idea for you to think about, because this is the exact answer that we choose to create, is that if somebody is in crisis or survival, they can come into this community for, pennies on the dollar and get the foundation of their mindset, get their bearing straight before they can start taking those steps forward, not only changing their lives, but changing the lives of others. Because one of the biggest things we talk about, first and foremost, choose to become the leader of your life.
Yep.
Because we make a difference, one person, one family, one community at a time. Because all boils down to who are you becoming, and who do you choose to surround yourself while you do that. So hopefully you've enjoyed this time with our community as well, as I know
I
we
did.
enjoyed your time. I think hopefully you're seeing that we're a little bit different, even though we're maybe small at the moment, but we are mighty beyond our size, because this is truly who we are, and this is what we do. We create opportunities, we share the light, and we choose to pay it forward, one person, one family, one community at a time. And today, for those of you that are new here, thank you so much for showing up. Whoever invited you, thank them too, because it's important, because they cared enough about you to stand in your gap, to stand for your growth. Because one of the things I've grown up and really thank God for is that when 10 years ago, Mr. Michael showed me a vision of what he saw of me, I had just enough belief to believe in him and the vision of me, because he always reminded me of who I truly was when I forgot who I am. So choose to surround yourselves with people who remind you who you truly are, of your greatness, not your weakness, when sometimes you'll forget. So Chris, again, thank you so much.
Thanks,
And
brother.
completes the hour power and the after hours. So thank you.
Thanks for
And
having me the
I
whole
would
time.
love to say hello to that angel of yours that
Hannah,
made this
come over here.
possible.
Come on over here.
Because I love both of you guys. You
She's
know
in her
that.
pajamas, but you know, she's fine.
This is
It's
family.
okay.
And
Just
cut
come
it
in.
out
It doesn't
on
matter. You guys are getting the real raw.
Friends.
Hi, my dear.
Total hair,
We
total
love you,
hair.
Hannah.
Hi, guys. I see so many of you beautiful faces. I cyber stalked you last week when you were talking about The Greatest Showman, and it was such a fun conversation. I loved hearing all of your opinions and ideas, and it was really awesome. So,
I mean, this is what we do. We get together with like-minded individuals that are heart-centered and mission-driven, and we just take it one step at a time. I would be more than happy to also send you guys a special private training from our two guests, which was a first for us. He actually joined us earlier, but he had to also step away for his family commitments. I think you guys would enjoy. It was an hour of power on the power of servant leadership.
Oh, cool.
right
These
on.
gentlemen have ran 6, 7, and 8-figure companies to some amazing places, and that these are really the connections that we get to make to not only make our dreams a reality, but to exponentially expand our legacy. Because, like Chris was talking about, one of the principles and books we've gone through this ultimate leadership community is it's all about who, not how.
Mm-hmm.
Staying in greatness and
Exactly.
allow others to join. Oh my God, now we have the whole family.
Well,
The whole family.
this is one of the 2 rescue dogs we've picked up since we've been in the Dominican. This is picked up. This is Nala. She was rescued out of a dumpster with a mother and a sibling that had passed away, and we couldn't not. So our 13-year-old daughter is really into animals and animal rescue, and we were trying to foster her for a minute, and that ended up meaning that she was part of the family pretty quickly. Oh, we have the other one. You guys want to see the other one too? Here she comes. Here she comes.
Gosh. This is so awesome. Aww.
So
Beautiful.
introduce her. Nightly, step back and introduce her.
This is Ellie. She's 3, almost 4 now.
Aw.
But she started following us around. Like, we walked up to a waterfall and she was on horseback, and she
Wow.
went up with us the entire time. And then she slept outside our front doorstep.
3 days in a row.
Yeah. And then even though Mama didn't want any dogs, she kind of caved.
Yep.
So
She's a good pup.
Yeah.
she's a good pup.
She's a good pup.
It's been a
So,
blessing. The kids
Yep.
love her, and now we've got a very extra full house. So you guys get the inside scoop on the Kirkpatrick Villa.
there you go.
I
Nice.
This is
love
how
that.
we roll.
How old are the dogs?
So Nala's like only 8 months old now, and Ellie's like 3 years old, 3 or 4, somewhere in that range. We don't know Ellie because she's a little older and she followed us around. Yeah, we have no idea.
Lots and lots and
Yeah.
lots of stray dogs in the Dominican. So you can't save them all, but you can save the
Yeah.
ones that,
Yep.
that come to us that are put directly in the path.
For sure.
Metaphors for life, right? We can't do everything, but we can do the best we can with what is put right in front of us. So
Absolutely.
we're grateful for the chance to serve. So
Okay.
good to see you guys. What a beautiful bunch.
Yes, and I gotta ask this question because now it's burning in my mind. How
Yeah.
can this community serve the two of you? You guys are so amazing that it would be truly awesome.
I think for
We love you.
all right, if you're asking, I have two ideas. Well, if you found value in like this stuff, I would say share my YouTube channel, get it out there with our education. It's Life 180 at Life 180 on YouTube. There's that, and then the other one, drum roll, is Hannah and I are actually in the process of launching our new podcast. And
our favorite new project.
and so we're actually about to launch our podcast called Thrive Hive, and it's all about helping people heal, grow, and thrive. And so we basically share our journeys. We interview other people that we're meeting, that are doing amazing things, that we're learning from, that we just as we go to these events and doing all this stuff. Like at this event this last week, we're going to interview a couple, 2, 3, 4 people from that one retreat, because they were just really high level, amazing people that sadly doing world class things that sadly most of the world doesn't have access to because they're not huge on social media. They're doing things kind of behind the scenes in areas that nobody really deals with most of the time. And so
some of the feedback that we get as we get to travel and do pockets and run retreats and be part of retreats and be at masterminds and hang out with tribes like yours and at all different levels, right, is we get access to have these really intimate, vulnerable conversations with people who are at our level and above. And a lot of feedback that we get is like, well, man, I wish I could be a fly on the wall for those conversations. And so we said, cool, well, maybe we'll try to record them if the lights don't turn off and the dog's unplugging stuff. And so that's kind of like, it's feeling like our gift to be able to say, hey, we're going to kind of pull back the curtains and let these conversations be shown to others that it might be valuable as well. So there's not full form content yet up on Thrive Hive, but it'll be Thrive Hive Show on YouTube and on Instagram. So Thrive Hive Show on YouTube, THRIVE, just like you would think, and Hive, HIVE Show on YouTube and Instagram. And then can I add a third one?
Please.
If you're looking for a vacation, you can come and visit us. Or if you are a retreat leader and you have a retreat that is
or know people running
retreats, and you have a retreat that is just calling to you that it's time to step into that aspect of your life, or you just want to bring your family or your loved one or yourself and unplug a little bit, you can come on down to check out our amazing eco retreat center and hotel in the Dominican called Zaria. It's at Visit Zaria. Zaria.
If you type in Google Maps, Zaria Eco, Zaria Eco, it'll pop up.
So other than that, that's really just like, it's those things. Just check us out. Come be part of like our tribe and some of the things that we're doing, and let us continue to have conversations with you that hopefully will fulfill your life as well. And we just love being in community with amazing people and sharing projects, and that's what's up.
So speaking of your podcast, please remind me, or let's make sure to put it on the calendar. I want to introduce you to Tom and Tracy. They literally run the #1 podcasting production company in the world. I would love to get you guys on their network because one, they represent some of the top thought leaders in their podcasting. So that might be bring some kind of cool collaborations. Plus, they have a free mastermind for their clients that literally shows you how do you make your podcast bingeable. And I love them. They're a power couple like you guys. So that's #1. Number 2, would love to introduce any guests that you guys want out of my book of relationships because I love what you guys are doing and I love people first and foremost.
And number 3, we're going to be in LA next week. Or number 4, we're going to be in LA next week because I got to speak at an event in Costa Mesa from the 12th to the 14th.
Okay.
And it's I'm speaking at an event. Anybody that wants to go, I think tickets are like $300 or something like that. But it's called the Wealth Strategy Summit, and I'm going to be doing 5 or 6 different keynotes during the whole 3-day period. There's going to be other speakers as well, obviously, but I'm going in and doing quite a bunch for the event. It's going to be pretty awesome. What's
Trying
that?
to- Who's running it, if you don't mind me asking? I'm curious.
Denise Doe.
I don't think I know her yet.
Okay.
Um,
No, well,
that could be a
come
cool,
on down.
It's a great crew.
I'll introduce you. It's a great crew.
And it's going to be a lot of fun. They're really breaking the paradigms, not only of how to do the financial stuff in terms of the tacticals of it that Chris just spent all of that. You guys are still here, so you made it through all of the financial talk.
He hears it all the time, so he's like, oh my God.
It's important. It's beautiful. Hi. But also about how they do it in terms of that it's fun. You know, they're going to make it a really good time, and it's going to be energetic, and it's about meaning and purpose and legacy, as opposed to just here's what you do to make more money with your money. And so if you're looking for a cool event, yeah, we're going to be there in California. So
yeah, I definitely would love more details and information. In the least case scenario, I would love to have, do dinner with you guys. If not, maybe even have you guys come by the house. Just depends on your guys' schedule. Because I'm probably maybe 2 hours away from Costa Mesa.
Are you south? You're in San Diego?
LA. Yeah, I mean, Costa Mesa is pretty much close to San Diego. I'm in LA. Yeah, so
We'll
maybe
figure it out.
yeah, we'll be out
We'll talk. We'll
an easy
communicate.
way for people to kind of plug into some of these events and things that we're doing is I just this week created essentially a link tree for my Instagram, because like even our family is like, we cannot keep track of where you guys are going. And if we want to come and join you for things, how do we know what your schedule looks like and how we find you? And I was like, oh yeah, good point. So I'm starting to drop some of the notices about what we're up to. And it's a whole variety. I mean, it's our plant medicine retreat that we're leading to Peru that's coming up in June that we still have a few spaces for. It'll completely sell out, but we have that. To Chris talking in California, to we're launching a couples spiritual tantra community retreat that is with a really beautiful leader who runs a tribe out of Austin. And that was just announced like this week. So everything that's coming out hot, I'm now going to start to put on my Instagram, just so that it keeps people in the know before there's even links to sign up. And my Instagram is @real, REAL, Hannah Kirkpatrick, HANNAH, KIRKPATRICK. It's a long name, but he's worth it. And eventually, next I'll have one made for Chris, so you can go onto his site too and be able to find where he's going and where he's. Update your link tree for you, love. Probably hasn't been done. Yeah, but we'll get there for you. So that's the easiest way if you want to plug into what the events are coming up that you may want to join. So hopefully that's helpful.
But I had a lot of fun. I just want to say thank you to everybody who's still here. Hannah will tell you, I could literally talk about this stuff 8 hours a day. So thanks for giving me the extra time to just go nuts, because it's my happy place. So yeah, thank you.
It's true. When you're in your mission, right? Like that's the same thing. I know, Alexi, that you say about the work that you do. And we were with a tribe the last 3 or 4 days with some really, really beautiful healers. And as they share their gifts with one another, it's amazing. It's like, no, we're not asking for payment. This is my calling here in this life. Like, this is what I'm here to do. And it serves me tremendously, because when I'm in my giftingness to you, it's the divine moving through me. And as the divine moves through me, I'm being blessed, right? And so as we're blessing one another, that's just the way that we get blessed also. And so it really is the truth that he loves to serve in this way. And I'm thankful to see him be able to share his giftingness with you guys, that it might bless your lives as well. So thank you.
Thanks, the funny thing is there's so many conversations that are going to be happening behind the scenes. I just obviously chose to honor your space and your gift of time and knowledge and wisdom, because I'm like, ooh, there's so many fun things we can talk about as thought leaders, taking this to the next level. And
we shall.
We can reach those 20,000 earlier than you're planning. To me, that would be my vision, and it gets to us. I'll say it that way.
And we can give another gift to your community too. If you guys want to drop FAQs, like if you have other questions, I'm going to say this for you because I like to give away your nuggets. If you have other questions that you weren't able to get to with Chris, share them with Alexi and Michael, and they'll get those questions to Chris. He'll do a live video for you, and then he'll share it on his YouTube and on his Instagram, stuff like that. But he'll answer your particular question live for you and that is shareable, if that would be helpful to people.
Yeah, that's my favorite way to make content for the YouTube channel. I think that's why it's done, I think, as well as it's done, because like I get most of the content. I have 1,600 videos on my YouTube channel. And most people are like, how do you come up with content? I'm like, I just let people tell me what they want me to say. And I just make videos for people. And my guess is if one of you has a question and you want a video for it, there's 100 other people that want the same thing. So just do that.
I love that. So one of the things we'll then do, we'll put the replay into the Dream Hacker, which is kind of our online daily community. And then for those that are part of it, which hopefully hint, hint, gives you another reason to be part of our daily community because it's free. You get to ask your question in there under, that replay, and that way we can keep things simple and strategic. So
cool.
Right on.
Love that.
Right on.
Awesome, guys.
This was
Thank you, everyone. What a great audience. All of your heads nodding and your hearts and all of that. It is seen and it is felt. So thank you. I see in your Hollywood squares down below, we see all of it and it feels amazing. So thank you for that.
Awesome.
Thank you.
And I just have one last question. Since we had such an amazing time all together, are you willing to come back?
For us?
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
Wow, you're getting a second
anytime.
date. Way to close the deal for the second date.
I think we should do it together next time, though. You could see she's way more entertaining than me.
Yes.
I'm happy to.
Well, I think there's an element to a power couple. Like, as I said, I love each and every one of you separately, but you together as well is just something else that I personally admire. And yes, I would love for you guys to do it together. As I said, today, live last minute, we did have lower numbers, but my intention is that when we hit 500 to 1,000 people on this call, to have you guys back maybe next year to polish off some of the concepts and maybe share some of the new biggest growth elements that you have come into. So I think that would be really, really cool.
Put it on the calendar.
Just tell us when.
It'll activate. It'll happen.
You know what? I'm gonna move it, thinking about it. Like the day that comes up, I would love to have you guys as part of my birthday month, which would be June 2026. I think that will be really cool.
Are you Gemini?
I am a Gemini.
Yeah. I knew I liked you. That's one of the many things that I like about you. I'm June 19th. So our 4 personalities get along really well together.
Exactly.
Any other Geminis in the house?
I don't know if I could take any more Geminis in my life, guys.
Anybody else? Crazy Geminis? Not in the moment. Okay. But I'm sure you know them, and I apologize on behalf of all of us Geminis for
I am a big Gemini.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well,
let's do it for your birthday.
So Alexi, let's be in touch this week because we're going to be flying there Friday, and we're going to be in the LA area, even though I have the event and stuff.
Group, baby. Whole group.
Yeah, I mean everybody, but yeah, I mean we're there. It is what it is.
Well, if you guys are in the LA area and you guys want to join us live, please reach out to me. We'll see what we can put together.
Yeah.
As much as I would love to keep these two to myself, I'm gonna be selfless and invite others into the circle because the moments are always magical.
Maybe we could do like a meetup dinner for anybody that's in the area. We could do something like that and have some fun.
I'm down.
Michael, I think we might have to do a road trip. I'm just saying.
I don't mind because they're more than worth it. I'm right here in Viva Las Vegas.
Oh, you're in Vegas?
Yeah.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
I know. It's true. We're in Vegas at least once or twice a year.
Once or twice a year we're in Vegas.
Good to know. Always good to have a friend in
Vegas.
Vegas.
Awesome. Yep.
Love that.
Cool. Awesome. All right.
Right on.
All right, you guys.
It's been fun, guys.
We'll get your podcast out. I'm going to start thinking about also maybe guest spots for you guys to promote your podcast. I think that could
Appreciate it, bro.
Definitely going to reconnect you guys back with Jenny Bellinger. She has the #1 podcast for network marketers, and I think that could be a really cool platform and a great conversation that will help you launch the podcast as well. So those are just a couple of things.
Amazing.
Hope to
Thanks,
see some
brother.
of you guys on socials, and we'll say hi and make sure that you drop it. You know, we met you through our buddy Alexi. So.
All right, you guys.
Bye, everybody.
See you guys.
Your night.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
For our amazing family.
Bye. Be well.
We love you. Thank you so much. Everybody unmute yourselves and let them know not what you think, but how you feel. Love you.
Love you.
Awesome.
Bye,
Thank you so
guys.
much.
Bye.
Awesome.
Bye.
Appreciate
Power
it.
couple. Awesome.
Thank you, guys.
Peace.
All right, that was a unique one, and I'm like 25 minutes late, so I gotta head out, you guys. Have an amazing rest of the day. It was a pleasure and honor. Thank you so much for joining us, each and every one of you. Michael, I will talk to you shortly as soon as I'm in the car.
You guys have a wonderful day. Love you guys. See you next week. Same place, same time. This is who we are. This is what we do. Love you.
Take care.
Okay, Milo, your turn. Come on. Let's go play.